It's 2 in the morning. You're balanced on the very edge of your own mattress, one leg hanging off the side. Because somewhere in the last few hours, a dog who owns a perfectly good bed decided that the only acceptable place to sleep was directly against your spine. You shift. They shift with you. You move 6 inches away to reclaim some space, and within a minute, quietly, without even seeming to wake, they've closed the gap again. Most people explain this with a single word: warmth. The dog gets cold, your bed is warm, mystery solved. But that explanation falls apart the moment you actually look at it. What's really happening every night is something far older and frankly far more moving than your dog hunting for a heat source. It reaches back 15,000 years into the chemistry of their brain and into a kind of trust most people never realize they've earned. Stay with me, because near the end, there's one part of this you genuinely need to hear. What it means if a dog who has always slept pressed against you suddenly stops. Most owners assume that means nothing at all. It almost never means nothing. We'll get there. Let's start by taking the warmth theory seriously, because on the surface it sounds reasonable. The problem is that your dog has options: a patch of afternoon sun that moves across the floor, the warm spot by the radiator, the sofa cushion that holds your heat for an hour after you've stood up, a pile of warm laundry fresh from the dryer. If heat were genuinely the goal, your dog is more than capable of finding it without climbing onto a human at 2 in the morning. So the question stands: why you? Why night after night? Do they walk past every warm, quiet, safe corner of the home and choose the one location that involves a creature 15 times their size? The answer begins with what sleep actually is. Sleep is the single most defenseless state any animal can enter. When your dog drops into deep sleep, the stage where their paws twitch and they make those small running motions, every protective instinct goes quiet. They can't watch for danger. They can't react quickly. In the world their ancestors evolved in, this was precisely the moment a predator could find them. And your dog, no matter how soft and safe their life has become, still carries that ancient wiring. It never fully switches off. So when your dog chooses to fall into that completely unguarded state right against your body, they are making a statement their own biology takes very seriously. They are telling you that this exact spot, with this specific person, is the one place in the world where they do not need to keep watch. That is not about temperature. That is trust, expressed in the most physical way a dog has available. And here is where it stops being sentiment and becomes chemistry. In 2015, a team led by Takefumi Nagasawa published a study in the journal Science. They measured oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same molecule that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn, in dogs and their owners during ordinary interaction. What they found was remarkable. When a dog and their owner simply gazed into each other's eyes, oxytocin rose in both of them, at the same time, across 2 entirely different species. The dog's level climbed, which made the owner feel more bonded, which made them hold the gaze, which lifted the dog's oxytocin again. A loop, feeding itself. Then the researchers ran the same test with wolves that had been raised by humans. The loop did not activate at all. This is something that evolved specifically between dogs and us, over thousands of years of living side by side. Now hold that thought, and picture what's happening across 8 hours of sleeping pressed together. That isn't one fleeting glance. That is an entire night of sustained physical closeness with the one creature on Earth their brain is wired to bond with. But this goes much deeper than you and your dog. It goes back to the very beginning of our two species choosing each other. Archaeologists studying a site in Germany, known as Bonn Oberkassel, uncovered something that quietly rewrites how we think about dogs. 14,000 years ago, a human was buried together with a dog. And when researchers examined the dog's remains closely, they found evidence that it had survived a serious illness as a young puppy. An illness it could only have lived through if a human had nursed it, carefully, for weeks, with no practical hunting or guarding value to gain from a sick pup. 14,000 years ago, someone sat up through the night with an ill puppy and chose to keep it alive. We have been sleeping beside these animals and caring for them in the dark for longer than we have had farming, or cities, or written language. When your dog presses into your back tonight, they are continuing something our two species have done together since before history was recorded. Let me ask you something before we go deeper. Does your dog have a specific spot? Pressed against your back, tucked behind your knees, curled in a tight ball at your feet, or stretched along your side facing the door? Keep that picture in mind, because the position itself carries meaning, and we'll come back to it. I read the comments, so tell me later. Here is a layer almost nobody considers. While your dog sleeps against you, your two nervous systems are not running on separate tracks. A 2024 study from the University of Jyväskylä in Finland found that the heart rate variability of dogs and their owners synchronizes, and that the synchronization is strongest during rest. When you are calm, they tend toward calm. Their body learns the rhythm of yours and settles into it. And a long-term study by Sundman and colleagues in 2019 found the same pattern in stress hormones. The cortisol levels of dogs and their owners move together over weeks and months. What's striking is the direction the researchers found. Your emotional state shapes theirs more than theirs shapes yours. So when your dog lies pressed against you, heavy and slow breathing, part of what they are resting against is your own steadiness. You are, in a very literal sense, helping to regulate them through the night, whether you know it or not. And there is a strange twist hidden inside the sleep research itself. A study at the Mayo Clinic found that, measured objectively with clinical sleep trackers, having a dog in the bedroom slightly reduces a person's sleep quality. The small movements, the occasional 3 a.m. reposition, the stretch that takes out your ankle. And yet, almost every participant reported feeling more secure, more comfortable, and more rested with their dog in the room. The disruption was real and measurable. The felt sense of safety was simply stronger. You are not imagining that you sleep better with them there. For most of human history, we slept in warm, breathing groups. The silent, solitary bedroom is the historical exception, not the rule. Something ancient in us recognizes a trusted presence nearby as the signal that it is finally safe to let go. Now think about the position your dog chooses, the thing I asked you to hold on to. It is rarely random. A dog curled tightly into a ball, nose to tail, is protecting the most vulnerable part of their body, the belly. It often means they feel safe with you, but a thread of natural caution is still present. A dog who sprawls on their side or their back, belly exposed and legs loose, has switched off nearly every survival instinct they have. That is the deepest physical trust a dog can show. And the dog who presses their spine against yours, facing away toward the room, is not turning their back on you in rejection. In the language of a pack, Turning your back to someone is a statement that you trust them completely to watch your blind side while you watch the other. Your dog has quietly assigned the two of you a shared post for the night. There is even something happening in the air between you. Your scent, to a dog, is not just pleasant. A study from Emory University found that of all the smells a dog can encounter, the scent of their own person uniquely activates the reward center of their brain, the part tied to anticipation and positive feeling. Not the scent of food, not the scent of another dog. You. So when your dog buries themselves against you in the dark, they are wrapping themselves in the one smell in the entire world their brain treats as a reward. It is, in their own chemistry, the most comforting place they could possibly be. Now, the part I asked you to stay for. If your dog has slept against you for months or years, and then suddenly stops, please do not wave it away as nothing. Dogs are creatures of deep, settled habit, and a long-standing habit that disappears overnight almost always has a reason behind it. Sometimes that reason is environmental, a new pet, a new person in the home, a rearranged bedroom, a change in your own schedule that feels minor to you but seismic to them. But sometimes the reason is physical. Veterinary researchers have found that a change in where a dog chooses to sleep can be one of the earliest signs of pain, often appearing before any limping or stiffness you would notice. And in older dogs, disrupted sleep patterns can be an early marker of cognitive decline. I am not telling you to panic. I am telling you to notice. Your dog has no words. A sudden change in a deep behavior is sometimes the only sentence they are able to give you, and the owners who catch these things early are simply the ones paying close attention. If that nightly ritual changes suddenly, it is always worth a calm conversation with your vet. So the next time you wake at 2 a.m, with 6 inches of mattress and a warm, heavy dog pressed against your back, remember what is actually happening. They did not choose the couch. They did not choose the warm spot by the radiator, or the expensive bed you bought them, or the quiet corner down the hall. They chose you. Across 15,000 years of evolution, through a bonding chemistry that exists between almost no other two species on this planet, against an instinct that screams at them to sleep somewhere hidden and safe, every single one of those forces pointed at one place. You. Because to your dog, you were never the warm option. You are the safe one. You are the safest place they have ever known. And every night, without being asked, they choose you again. If this changed the way you see that warm weight against your back, leave a like and subscribe. Every video here is built on what the science actually says, not on what we assume. And tell me in the comments, where does your dog sleep? Against your back, at your feet, or do they somehow claim the entire bed and leave you the edge? And if you have ever wondered why your dog stares at you, really stares, like they are trying to tell you something they have no words for, that is the next video. The science behind it is stranger than you would expect.